Yo, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to this deep dive into one of the most intricate and emotionally charged conflicts in modern history. Today we're tackling the Israel-Palestine conflict. It's a topic that's been the subject of countless debates, discussions, and even misunderstandings. To truly grasp the depth of this issue, we need to rewind the clock and delve into the rich yet tumultuous history of this region. This isn't just a modern-day issue, it has roots that go back centuries. But before we get into the nitty-gritty details, let's set the scene. Imagine Israel today, a country that's a hub of innovation and technology. Picture bustling startup offices, beautiful beaches, and the mouth-watering aroma of falafel from street vendors. It's a place where modernity meets tradition. Now contrast that with Palestine. Here, the struggle is palpable. It's a land where people are fighting for recognition, dealing with the harsh realities of occupation, and facing significant humanitarian challenges daily. These are two peoples with deeply intertwined lives and histories, each with their own narratives and dreams, living in a land they both call home. This discussion isn't about taking sides or pointing fingers. It's about understanding the layers of history, the shared pain, and the common humanity that lies at the heart of this conflict. By exploring the stories of both Israelis and Palestinians, we aim to shed light on the human experiences that often get overshadowed by political rhetoric. This is about empathy, awareness, and a deeper understanding of a conflict that has shaped countless lives. Let's rewind to the early 20th century. It was a time of great change and upheaval across the globe. The world was on the brink of modernity, and the seeds of many future conflicts were being sown. Palestine, then part of the sprawling Ottoman Empire, was a diverse place. It was a land where different cultures and religions coexisted, each contributing to the rich tapestry of society. You had Jews, Muslims, and Christians living together, more or less getting along. They shared markets, schools, and sometimes even places of worship, but things were changing, and the winds of nationalism were beginning to blow. Jewish nationalism, known as Zionism, was on the rise. This movement sought to establish a Jewish homeland in Palestine, inspired by the ancient connection to the land and the desire for a safe haven from persecution. Many Jews facing persecution in Europe dreamt of returning to their ancient homeland, the biblical land of Israel. They began to emigrate in increasing numbers, bringing with them hopes, dreams, and a determination to build a new life. At the same time, Palestinian Arabs were developing their own national identity. They had lived on this land for generations, cultivating it, building communities, and establishing deep roots. They saw this land as their home, passed down through generations. Their connection to the land was just as profound and meaningful as that of the Jewish immigrants. See where the tension starts brewing? Two groups, each with a deep historical and emotional connection to the same land, began to see their futures in conflicting terms. Two groups, both with deep historical and religious connections to the same land. The Jews saw it as their ancient homeland, a place of refuge and renewal. The Palestinian Arabs saw it as their ancestral home, a land they had nurtured and defended for centuries. Not exactly a recipe for smooth sailing. The stage was set for a complex and often tragic conflict, one that would shape the region's history for decades to come. As both groups sought to assert their claims, the seeds of conflict were firmly planted, leading to a struggle that continues to this day. Now enters the Balfour Declaration of 1917. Picture this. Britain, in the middle of World War I, promises the Zionist movement a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. On the surface, it sounds like a nice gesture, right? Problem is, they made this promise without really consulting the people who were already living there, the Palestinians. Imagine someone promising your house to someone else without asking you. Not cool, Britain, not cool. This declaration opened the floodgates. Jewish immigration to Palestine increased dramatically, and tensions with the Arab population continued to simmer. Fast forward to 1947, World War II is over, and the British are like, "We're out of here!" The UN steps in with a plan: divide Palestine into two states, one Jewish, one Arab. Seems simple enough, right? Wrong! The partition plan was rejected by the Arab leadership, and things escalated quickly. In 1948, Israel declared independence. What followed was the First Arab-Israeli War, a chaotic and brutal conflict that left hundreds of thousands of Palestinians displaced from their homes in what they call the Nakba, or catastrophe. This event remains a deeply traumatic memory for Palestinians and lies at the heart of the conflict today. Section 5. Wars and Walls. The conflict escalates. The decades that followed were marked by more wars and uprisings. In 1967, the Six-Day War resulted in Israel capturing the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem. Israel claimed these territories were crucial for its security, while Palestinians saw it as an occupation. Settlements began to spring up in the West Bank, further inflaming tensions. Walls were built, checkpoints erected, and the two-state solution seemed further away than ever. Section 6. Life under occupation, the Palestinian struggle. Imagine living in a place where you face checkpoints to get to work, where your movement is restricted, and where access to basic resources like water and electricity is limited. This is the reality for many Palestinians living in the West Bank and Gaza. Their lives are a daily struggle against the realities of occupation, poverty, and a lack of basic freedoms. This isn't to say that all Israelis support the occupation, but it's crucial to understand the human cost of this conflict on the Palestinian side. Section 7. Hamas and the cycle of violence. Adding fuel to the fire is Hamas, a militant Islamist group that controls the Gaza Strip. Hamas rejects Israel's right to exist and has engaged in rocket attacks against Israeli civilians. Israel, in turn, responds with military force, often resulting in civilian casualties. It's a vicious cycle of violence that only deepens the divide and makes a peaceful resolution feel impossible. Section 8. A fragile hope, the search for peace. Despite the violence and mistrust, there have been glimmers of hope. The Oslo Accords in the 1990s, while ultimately unsuccessful, offered a framework for peace. Countless peace summits, negotiations, and international efforts have attempted to bridge the gap. But the path to peace is paved with broken promises and shattered dreams. The two-state solution, once a beacon of hope, seems increasingly distant. Section 9. Two peoples, one land, a shared future. So, where do we go from here? The question is as old as the conflict itself, yet it remains as pressing and relevant as ever. The Israel-Palestine conflict is not just a political issue, it's a deeply human one, affecting millions of lives on both sides. The Israel-Palestine conflict is complex, with legitimate grievances on both sides. Historical injustices, territorial disputes, and cultural clashes have all contributed to a situation that seems almost impossible to resolve. It's easy to get lost in the politics, the violence, the blame game. The media often focuses on the most sensational aspects, making it difficult to see the human faces behind the headlines. But at its core, this is a human story. It's about families trying to live their lives amidst the chaos. Children growing up in a world where conflict is the norm, and communities striving to find some semblance of normalcy. It's about two peoples who share a deep connection to the same land, a land that holds immense historical, cultural, and religious significance for both. Both sides are longing for peace, security, and a future free from fear. The desire for a peaceful coexistence is a common thread that runs through the hearts of many Israelis and Palestinians. It's about recognizing the humanity of the other, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. Empathy and understanding are crucial in breaking down the barriers that have been built over decades of conflict. The only way forward is through dialogue, empathy, and a commitment to finding a just and lasting solution for both Israelis and Palestinians. This means engaging in difficult conversations, making compromises, and being willing to see the world through the eyes of the other. Peace might seem impossible, especially when the wounds of the past are still fresh and the future seems uncertain. But history has shown us that even the most intractable conflicts can find resolution through persistent effort and goodwill. But hey, as long as there's even a sliver of hope, we have to keep striving for it. Hope is the light that guides us through the darkest times, and it's the foundation upon which a shared future can be built. We got to keep striving for it. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. The journey towards peace is long and arduous, but every step taken in the right direction brings us closer to a future where both Israelis and Palestinians can live in harmony.